Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Gibson, and I am the creator of Norm Therapy. We started a little late tonight, having a few technical difficulties with YouTube and Zoom talking to one another. I think we're going to take it off the Zoom platform and put it on to YouTube exclusively to avoid any problems. Otherwise, I hope everything is well. I'm looking to have a good conversation with Bobbi to catch us up. This will be recorded and it will go on to our YouTube stream, and I'll upload it within the hour, maybe hour and a half. Thank you very much for your patience and time. Bobbi is here with us. Bobbi, if you can come in now, it'd be great to see you. So how are you? Heck, I apologize for all the technical difficulties.
It's okay.
Everything is set up perfectly, just like all the other streams now. However, I think it's just Zoom and YouTube just doesn't talk to one another the right way. What do you think about that? I mean, it's kind of dramatic, isn't it? Just all of a sudden
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Just on me.
Don't worry about it. I think it's because the uh, the codes, but the codes on the front end should be exactly the same on the back. And I did check them all, and it looks perfect to me. And this is the correct number of sessions as well. So it could be anything. Whatever the anomaly is, I'm going to figure it out over the next few days. So make sure Montes doesn't go through this. But speaking of Montes, how is Montes 1.2 going? Because he's not 2.0 yet. He's about 1.2. How's he going?
No, he's really been making a conscious effort to do some different things. And I've noticed because usually like if it's something about the kids or whatever, and I'm just, you know what to expect, right? He's real predictable.
Mhm.
I was just teasing my son, like the song that never ends. You remember that song? It's a song that never ends.
I don't
So
really
once
know
you get
that
it
one to sing
going,
it.
it's no, there never stops. And so some of the things, like I've kind of had to take a double look, like you didn't say anything back, or you didn't say anything, or it didn't it
No
didn't
retorts? No
stir any.
retorts?
So I know that he's been either pondering something, practicing something, or taking a look within himself.
You're
But
seeing
see,
progress.
yeah. And see the difference with me and him is that when I am in here, I see me and you.
Mhm.
I don't care who sees me, who hears me. I don't care in real life. I don't care what you think about me.
I know.
He's just the opposite. He worries about how he looks, how he dresses, how he talks, who hears him, how he says it. I don't care.
You know why?
I
You know why he does that? Because
know.
because he doesn't know yet that the raw truth, the unvarnished truth about himself, about him believing in himself, and also, more importantly, how the world sees him. He doesn't know that the truth is better than the facade. Because when we get dressed up and we were, just before I got on this, I had a t-shirt on and I said, I need to put on a jacket or something so I don't look that unprofessional. And this jacket I have on, it's an actual jacket, it's a khaki jacket, but it looked like a shirt. It looked like I put a shirt over a t-shirt. So was it the desired effect I wanted? No. But I'm actually on this interview with you, and now I don't care. I think it looked kind of okay. But that's just me and my taste. As a friend once told me, said, "Well, Mike, this is just the way you dress. You do this, I do that." So this is Mon. He hasn't yet figured out, I don't think, just watching and listening to him, that it's okay to just be you. You don't have to put on the airs. You don't have to worry about your tie straight. You don't have to worry about anything. People don't like you how you are. Screw them. That literally
That's how I feel.
good. Most self-esteem issues in life come from that. Comes from people worrying about what other people think of them or feel about them, or judging them under which criteria. They oftentimes find themselves very nervous around people because they're worried about that whole, what is she saying? What are they doing? Da 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 da.
Yeah, we can't even go have a meal
Mhm.
out.
Really? Why not?
Really. He's worried about what the white people's going to think or whatever, you know. I guess I'm black. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, you know. I mean it affects our You
Really?
know, I don't wanna always go through the drive-through. I don't want to go pick up or DoorDash. Let's go out to eat and have a nice meal. I don't care what nobody says, because listen here, I'm not going to take too much shit from not too many people,
Of course
you
not.
know.
Of course.
And I've dealt with that my whole life. Like I've dealt with the same struggle because I was with a black man.
I
So
understand.
I got the same clash, maybe not as bad,
No,
from
I
other
understand. Keep going.
people,
No, I
you
understand.
know?
I mean, I've dated every kind of, I think, woman on the planet. So, color is indistinguishable across many borders. But, sometimes you get these stares and these looks and all that. But I really don't care. I could care less about those people at all. And and I think he still cares. Because in order to be a racist, believe it or not, just for the definition of it, you have to have some kind of way to hurt somebody. If I say I don't like white people, I can't do anything to white people. I can't do anything to them. I can't say, well, yeah, I think I'll put you in chains, or you're gonna go through Jim Crow, or you're not gonna get a job, or what can I say? If all the black people in the world got, or in the United States got together and say, I don't like white people, it still don't mean that's 11% of the population. The other 70% of white people go, no, that's not gonna happen. That's just how it works. So a white person or even a black person in some countries where they're racist against other tribes and other peoples is the ruling class of any society that's considered the racist. I know people don't like to hear that, but if you look it up in the definitions, or in your thesaurus about their explanations, you'll understand that racism is a form of power, not defeatism. It's a form of power. And the victims of racism normally carry that victimization with them generationally. Because if you can say something as ugly as, if anybody could say something as ugly as, my father was a slave, his father was a slave, his father was not, he was less than a slave, he was imprisoned and a slave. If you can say that, then there's a history of slavery and degradation. My father was Jim Crow, and my father just got the right to vote back in the 60s, the full right to vote. And in my father, and if you can say that, and then let's put a white person's history up, and this is why he says it. I'm just kind of explaining it to you. So from a historical point of view, then you got a white person sitting next to you, even though you didn't do anything to my ancestors. You didn't do it. you didn't do anything. You're an innocent person. But there's a thing called legacy, the pay for the father's sins kind of thing. And if your great 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 grandfather owned slaves, probably did. His son owned slaves, and then his son owned slaves, and his son owned slaves, and then all of a sudden, his son uh, employed black people during Jim Crow, and they were just ignorant black people without education, unless they lived in the North in Chicago or something like that, or New York, or one of the more sophisticated areas of the country. Then they were just dumb people who didn't read. And some of them who did read was just not enough to make a dent in society. And then all of a sudden they get to present day. There's a legacy of hate and self-loathing and idle. When you sit idle for a long time, you lose your mind, don't you?
Yeah.
Now imagine a black person, their only mission in life, through all that history I just mentioned, was to just sit there and wait on somebody to tell them what to do. Nothing else. Idle time, idle minds they're corrupted.
I mean, it pisses me off too.
So what we're going to work on with, you should be pissed off, and this is a good thing, but it's going to take you to say, you know what, I'm white, and if I don't care, who cares what they think? That should be your constant message that you send them. Who cares what they think? I don't care. And that normally offers, instead of arguing or being against whatever action they're taking or reaction, maybe promote what they're saying, but in a more constructive way. Like, I don't like it either, but we got to eat, so let's go. I like being with you. If they don't, I could care less. And if you're going to worry about what somebody's thinking about you, and they're probably just saying, that's a handsome guy with that beautiful white woman. They're probably saying that. well, wow, that's an interesting couple. They're not necessarily saying, look at a nigger over there, or look at it. They're not doing that. Most white people don't go home at night going, well, think I'm going to mess me over some black people tomorrow. Yeah, they don't do that. It's that 1 in 10 that does that. And most white people are just good people, and they don't understand sometimes how to mix with the races. They don't understand sometimes the culture of another race, because the bubbles we grow up in, especially in the United States, they're just inundated with reasons why we can't communicate. It's just chock full of disinformation about one another. You know, for a long time, I thought when I was a kid, because my father worked at a place where he was the only black person. And when I was a real, like 6 years old, 7 years old, he would take us to, some of his coworkers' house, and then you would hear your mom say, okay, we're going over white people's house. Just like that. And you're like scared, like, what is that? A white person. I mean, going over the house. And then and don't touch anything, don't break nothing, be careful, and don't swear, don't do this, don't do that, don't, all that crap, right? And then you get over there, and it's always, the air conditioning is always on. It's freezing. And I grew up, at a time where air conditioning wasn't even popular, but all white people had it. We didn't even know what it was. In our house, I think my mother and father had one of them window things in their window, and that was it. Air conditioning house didn't even exist. And to make a long story short, just to give you a little culture behind why he feels this way, and you can understand it, is when we finally got there, we interacted with some kids who were just normal kids, cool as crap. We had a great time. They cussed more than we could ever cuss. I've never heard, we would come home and go, white people just be cussing all the time in front of their parents, and they don't do anything. Let me cuss in front of my father. Man, I'd have 2 black eyes for 2 weeks. But, that's just how it went. So what he's saying to you is he doesn't know how to be around white people, because every experience he had around white people has been bad. That's all he's saying. And then he gets in private with you, he can be himself, and hey, but then he got to go out and deal with that element. It's because he doesn't know. If I start speaking Swahili to you right now, tú hablas español? ¿Tú hablas español? No habla. Yo sí hablo español con fluidez. I do. I speak fluent Spanish. But you didn't know what the hell I was talking about, did you?
No.
That's how he feels. Right there. That's exactly how he feels. When he goes into a white room and they're saying, yeah, we have the quilts that we do on Downing's Day. And, we sit there and we all sofa. Right? Right? And I, when I first joined Special Forces, I promise you, I thought I was in the Ku Klux Klan. I had white guys literally tell me, niggers, stay away from me. Guys who I'm in combat with could shoot you right in the back of the head and keep going. I'm telling you, and I said that, of course, that didn't happen to me. My head is still here. But I had one guy, he was KKK up and down. And you just have to deal with it. So what are you going to do? I'm not saying Special Forces is a KKK, but there's some guys who really believe in that alt-right stuff to the extreme. Way to the right. And they will take over the country if you let them. These guys are no joke. And there are many people like that in society. Politics is really causing a whole lot of turmoil in people where there wasn't any. How are you experiencing that in your life? You guys have difference of opinion. You don't have to name the politicians you like, but do you have a difference of opinion of your political views?
No, we really don't we don't really watch politics. It's probably best that we don't.
Okay. That's a good thing. That's very healthy, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, keep going. I like that.
Politics is just something that has always created a difference of opinion, whether it was minor or major. So I have my own political views and they're mine, and he has his and they're his. And I vote, and that's all that matters, and he does. And
if America,
we might vote for different people.
Exactly. If America could adopt that's what they used to do all my time growing up. Nobody talked about their own politics. No one said, I support Trump, I support Biden. No one did that. That was not a thing. You know, unless your whole house was like Republican or Democrat, and then you've been and arguing with your neighbors, but it was friendly. It was like your guy did this, well, your guy did that, and they could talk. A whole household and one thing, next door neighbor is another, and it was a good.
Yeah, or pick up the party line.
Exactly. It was all kinds of stuff like you get it, you remember. So, but now it's like you mention another guy's name or something they did wrong, then people lose their mind over it. Or something they did right, and the other side say they did it wrong, and people lose their mind. I'm like, what the heck? You know, people think that politics is um, supposed to be difficult, but it's not. It's not. Poly, you know, of course, meaning many. So many views, many types of views of politics should be considered when you're thinking of political anything or people or candidates or whatever. But it's not. Why is that? Because people have what they call confirmation bias. Are you familiar with that one? Yeah, you work in the field, you do. Of course, you know, when a person has an already preconceived notion of exactly what their answers they want to find and get. So they're going to only listen to the stuff that they're biased about, that they already agree with. Everything else they want, they want because it's more comfortable.
And it could be wrong.
It normally is when you have that kind of confirmation bias or cognitive dissonance. When you have it, it's hard. I should say, I'm trying to get my mic up a little bit. It's hard to how shall I say? It's hard to for you to even tell or differentiate between what is good and bad, left or right or up or down. It's really interesting. Most people find themselves in a bad mood because of their politics or their religion. Believe it or not, most people.
Yeah, that's I can remember my grandmother saying, never talk about politics, religion, or abortion. She said it'll get you in an argument every time.
And now abortion is politics. Now abortion is a political issue. There you go. So that's even a double whammy. But yeah, because some people believe it's a right to life, and other people believe that that's a government's policy. That should be a government's a decision-making process to make sure you can't or can do something. That's to me is scary.
When the government needs to start coming into the households when babies are babies and getting on the parents.
Yeah, exactly.
The government needs to start intervening at that level, and that's not going to happen.
Right. But what should happen though, here's where I think we miss. You just made a very valid point. And this is what happens to most relationships too. You just said the government needs to come in at this very small level and be there for the parents and the children to make sure that. But then if you go backwards one step, before that, government needs to provide the infrastructural dollars as well as the political support and the infrastructure of society so people can operate healthier lives. They have more access to better jobs. They're not constantly looking for wages to be increased because that's an automatic thing in government. Like in some countries where you don't see poverty at all, is because the government says, no problem, since you don't want to help other people, we'll do it for you. It's not socialistic when you make sure that all your streets are paved and all of the sewer systems.
I just literally watched a video about a hospital in Cleveland had a NICU bed unit of like 172. Wow. And so we had this community health worker was doing like a documentary, and it was about that's the biggest NICU unit maybe in the nation, 172 beds. And so they went in to see where it was called like new leads to see where they could help these families have better nutrition, better housing, where were they lacking that they were having all these premature births. Then Cleveland, Ohio. And they were worried about keeping those beds full. So if they had a bed open, they would go ahead and let the baby come out premature versus try to keep the mom in the hospital and maybe nurture her for a few more weeks. They wanted them NICU specialty beds.
Explain to us, our audience, what is NICU?
Intensive care unit for neonatal infants.
So
neonatal
babies.
Neonatal intensive care unit.
There you go, neonatal intensive care. And these are sometimes induced labor in order to get
Hmm.
more C-sections to get the baby to come out earlier so they can keep those beds filled.
Yeah, yeah. When it's coming from stress or improper, though they don't have enough food. The one lady was talking about, she had to go out, out of her neighborhood to go to a good meat store, that the one store that she did have access to had really high prices. And I mean, it was just sad.
All right,
And
very true.
so,
You see
you
this in
know,
my neck? I was
yeah,
born at almost 6 months, and they stuck a tube in my throat here, and that's where I was fed through for a month or so in intensive care. When they said they could pick me up and put me in one hand, and to know,
yeah.
yeah, my daughter, my first daughter, was born at 6 months. Everyone else went to
Well,
term. But yeah,
the twins were 3 pounds apiece.
wow, wow. So
So
that,
they were like 12 inches long, 3'1" and 3'2".
wow, that's really something. Birth is amazing, though. Birth is an amazing situation to be in, especially if you're the onlooker. Now, for women, I'm sure it's something that no man can ever understand, truly. But I do believe that watching it occur, I watched, both kinds in my life, C-section and natural birth. And I'll tell you something, it's no joke. It is like a whole nother thing. It's like a miracle in action. All of a sudden, out of you come this amazing other little bitty person, and you're there to watch their first breath, their first eye open, their first touch and feel. Yeah, that's an amazing experience. So okay, we talked birth, we talked, of course, Montes, we're talking. Tell me about you. What are you doing now in your new job?
In my job.
Yeah.
So I'm doing case management
How's that going?
and I love it. Like
Tell me.
that's what I like to do. It's the opposite of what my forte is. Like I like the counseling aspect of it, but I do it simultaneously because
Okay,
I'm a talker. So I can steadily talk
right.
and get out of them what I need to get out of them at an honest level.
Brutally honest, I bet.
Brutally honest.
There you go.
So,
Okay. So in your spirit, when you're feeling really good about yourself and you're in the moment, you're in your zone and you're at work, how do you think, let's do a Montes shot. How do you think people are perceiving you? Not that you have to care about it like it's bad or good, but what do you think they're seeing now?
um, there's a lot of people that want me as a case manager that, I mean, we are short on case managers, but they don't want to overwhelm me because I just started,
I understand.
but I'm doing it very rapidly.
Hmm.
Like I'm getting all of my billable hours, all of everything, and having extra time to see other people's,
Cases.
you know, clients. And they're getting ready to create a position for me called an intake coordinator case manager. So I'll be the first face they see, and then they'll come in and I'll assess them, and then they'll go on through nursing and in through the other parts, and they'll see a counselor, and then they'll come back to me, and then I'll do their case plan.
That's wonderful. I like that. Well, if you're that capable, good. But sometimes when people get so busy at work, just as a reminder, we oftentimes dismiss people around us, like our coworkers. We just kind of like them, but I don't have time for you. And oftentimes, in order to maintain the spot at work where everybody is not just in admiration of you, but they're in support of you as well, is take a 5 minutes out when you have anything and just find out how everybody else is doing. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay, good.
oh yeah. I compliment everybody. I shake hands, give hugs, and I'm not even a huggy kind of person. But I don't want, like I said, I got this face
Hmm.
that like I mean business, like I do, and I take my job seriously because
No,
we're
that's
dealing
not
with
that's not fake.
lives.
That's not fake at all. The hugs,
No,
none of it's fake.
no,
It's
no,
your
it's
alter
not
ego.
fake.
It's your alter ego.
Yeah,
That's what it is. It's more permanent. It's more you. It's like Batman saying, okay, I'm Bruce Wayne, I'm gonna chill, and then no, I'm Batman, there's a crime. You're Batman at work and you're Bruce Wayne at home. Forgive the gender, but that's what you are. You're Batman at work and you're of course Bruce Wayne at home. That's the analogy. And I think that that's important that you can distinguish, and you just spelled out clearly what you got to do to make that work. That's very serious business. That's an amazing
Yeah.
attitude to have about something that you used to feel insecure about. Now you feel like I own this. Not a bad place to be. What do you think?
No, I like it. I'm like I said, that position hasn't been created yet. They're still working on the flow chart of it, of
Mm-hmm.
how things would flow. Um, and it's got me a little bit anxious because that's a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like I showed my skills too soon, you know?
Maybe, but I have a feeling that you can not only rise to this occasion, you will flourish there. This is my personal and professional opinion of you. So, sometimes, they say even if you fail a little bit along the way, and you will, we all do in anything we endeavor. And look, the live stream failed tonight. Anything you do, something will fail, including you. But so
Mhm.
long as you move along, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. And that's your spirit. You exude that everywhere you go and everything you do. And you
And
quiet.
they told us that in training. They told us in training, there's nothing that you could mess up that we can't fix.
Exactly. There you go. And most people don't get that. In order to hear what you just said, people have to get beyond themselves. They got to get past their own insecurities to be able to hear that. Most people can't hear a thing other than what they already believe or what they already want to know. So that's amazing that you got that, and not that you couldn't have gotten it, but it's amazing that you're actually applying it to your life and you understand that it's okay to fall. It's okay to
Yeah.
not get up sometime and just sit there for a minute, catch your breath, then get up. Sometimes that's okay. But people is all or nothing in our generations. It's causing a lot of problems for a lot of people. It's all or nothing. Everybody's a winner.
Yeah. And I hate the
It's
word
supposed to.
everybody,
I
everybody, or
know.
oh, that just drives me crazy because
I know.
I'm part of everybody,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. But the world is no longer fair, I don't think, and it's gone on both ends of the spectrum. It used to
I
be
just
fair.
I
It,
just told my kids this. Me, William, and Robert, we was riding in the car last night, and I told them, I said, listen, if one thing that you ever remember that I ever tell you that sticks, remember this. The world isn't fair. Life isn't fair. And if you spend a quarter of your time trying to think that it is and fight for that, you're wasting your time because it's not fair.
it's futile. It's futile. I listen. You had me at a hello on that one. We look for fairness, and when we don't get it, we lose perspective on ourselves and on outlook of life, and it changes us because we're
Yeah,
looking for.
I used to think if the laundry wasn't done, that the house wasn't clean. Well, I had 6 kids, so guess what? The
Always
laundry
on
was
that.
never done. So when I finally said, guess what? The laundry will never be done. The house stayed clean.
Yeah, exactly. Because there was no idea or expectation put on you that was stressing you out, and
Yeah.
that's again. So it was.
And it was like I was cleaning all the time. And I was like, damn, I never get a break. I'm cleaning, you know? But it was all because of the laundry. Like I hate laundry, but still to this day, like all my kids' friends will say, Miss Bobby, I still remember how you taught me how to fold laundry. Right, because it has to be folded a certain way unless you want wrinkled shirts when you pull them out or
Exactly.
hang it up or whatever, you know.
Exactly. Well, I think that you made a very good point. Sometimes, you have to just let some things go. Things that may slow you down or put you in a place where you're not actually sure where you are, like with the state of laundry, it kept your house unkept. It
Yeah.
maintained you unkept so long as you held on to the notion that the laundry had to be folded down to the last sock. And then the minute you did that, there's another load. What are you gonna do?
Well, now if I can get my husband to that point, because see, he's tricky. He beats me to the punch. Now, no, am I gonna work 8 hours and come in and get right on the stove? Nope, not gonna do it.
You
You
should
might get me to get up and do a breakfast at 10:30 on Saturday, if you're lucky. If not, it'll be a brunch.
something.
If he doesn't beat me to it, because see, he beats me to it so that he can say that I never do it. But the truth of the matter is I'm a better cook. So he he does it. He does it, and he'll say, "Oh, she never cooks me nothing. I can't remember the last time." He never gives me a chance. Like he's Johnny on a spot. He wants to do the dishes, do this, do that, and he's fast and he has a lot of energy, and I don't. Like I'm just moving along, smelling the roses,
Yeah.
and
I don't have to cook, I won't. But
and that's
I
it.
need to tell you him, I need to tell you what I told him about that. Not, but it's a different perspective. I don't want to say it's different for women and men, but it's for the caretaker and the non-care, the worker. But he's working too now. So with his job and him not wanting to do it all,
Now it's going to be a
you see, there's some give and take that needs to occur. And you have to, since you're the one that's saying, I'm not doing it, I'll let him do it. Because since you're the one saying that, you have to come up off that a little bit if it's going to be fair.
yeah, and I will. And there's times that I'll go in like, I always, if there's dishes in the sink, I'll do them.
Right.
Like he's good about when he cooks, he cleans the dishes just
I'm the
as he's
same way.
going along.
I'm the same.
Huh?
I'm the same way.
I do the same thing, but our kids don't, right?
They just
So if
put it
I go
down
in the
and do it.
kitchen and I go to bed and it's sink clean, and I get up in the morning because I'm the first one up, so I'll set my coffee pot and do the dishes, wipe the counters, get everything. I don't mind doing my part at all, but let me do it. Give me time to do it.
And
Don't box me in and tell me when I have to do it. You just let me do it.
but
Because that's
he's right about one thing. I need to, there's a lot to unpack here. This is why most relationships have a problem for coordination and synchronization. They don't coordinate. So the things that he wants to do that are the exact same things you want to do, they don't fit. They're always doing this instead of this. They're doing this all the time. That whole box you in thing is the whole idea of boundary and parameters in which you need to operate. For instance, if you just said, you know what, we need to have breakfast between 8 and 9, 7 and 9 in the morning every day, because you got to go to work, you like to have a meal, and you should eat breakfast. It's the healthy, especially with the intensity of the work you do. You should have a good breakfast. Hopefully, you are having breakfast with your coffee, I should say, because that will give you the energy you need to get you to lunch or get you even beyond back to dinner. Because I don't eat lunch. I hardly ever eat lunch. So
yeah.
I go right from breakfast to dinner. I always fast, not because I'm religion or anything else. I just don't really like eating lunch. But I think that when he hears you say, well, I've been working all day and I've been this and I've been that, he knows that and he wants to support you. He wants that, but he doesn't understand it because now he's working and he'll have the legitimate say in that. So be prepared for that. Be prepared to say, hey, babe, you need any help? And let him say, and believe me, most of the time when you say it, people will say, that's okay. Most of the time.
I know. That's game though.
I know.
See, game recognizes game. And I know how to get him.
I know, but you need to really do that because that shows one thing that you're not showing them in this regard. Just from hearing it and listening to him about the same issue, is you're not showing him any kind of appreciation. He wants to feel like what he's doing is not obligatory, although it's responsible.
So when I have my counseling session with my one-on-one on the phones on Wednesday mornings I have.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working on, like, I haven't been an affectionate person. I haven't been like I said, I wasn't huggy, affectionate. I just sit and listen and this looks the same.
Mhm.
So I've been intentionally giving him hugs in the morning before I leave. First person I hug when I come home. Oh, thank you for doing that for me. Thank you. I appreciate you. Now, but I'm not going to say thank you 30,000 times. And even though, enough is enough, that's how I feel.
You hell to live with. You are hell. You're like, look, you may get it if I feel good today. If I don't,
Thank you for, I mean, no, I mean, I'm trying to find a balance, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. But
And
here, I want you to practice something. Let's practice this. And I'm not a mantra guy. I'm not okay, say, I will make it. I will make it. I hate that kind of stupidity. You just make a decision about making it and you will. That's just how it works. But um, let's just do something here. Instead of try this, just try it. Really try it. That same alter ego you have for work, create one for dealing with your husband. An alter ego. Okay, this is the old Bobby and this is the new Bobby. Create one that will fit with your husband. Like, for instance, instead of saying to a man, this is probably one of the worst things a woman can ever say to a man, is what they're not gonna do. I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that. When a man hears that, because we're
no,
men.
I'm telling you that. I don't
I
tell
know,
him
I know,
that,
I know, I
but
know.
I'm telling you it gets old. Like, I'm not going to say thank you 30 times. Thank you for opening the door. Thank you for handing
No,
me
you don't have
this.
to do, no, yeah, that's kind
No,
of robotic and
that's overdoing it.
yeah,
That's overkill.
yes, that's embellishing the whole thing a little bit. You're lying to yourself and him all at the same time.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
But in circumstances like a routine, a person gets up every day, or they go to work, or they cook dinner, and you know, what they want every now and then, or half the time, or 40% of the time, they want you to show up in the kitchen and say, baby, what can I help you with? Well, can you peel those onions? Sure. Can you get those big? Yeah, I got it. Then walk out. They want to know that you're concerned and appreciative of their effort and anything you can do to help. Because dinner for 6, 8 people is a lot of work. That's not that's not a little work. It's a lot of work for you or him. But together it could be manageable. Not every meal, but a lot of meals. It could be manageable and it could set the tone for
Mhm.
the relationship in the term of responsibility, not in chore or assignment or task, but
Because I'll jump in and help.
okay, that's it. But the words that you don't like to give up, but I'm gonna help you with the operative words in this scenario is, how can I help? Is there something I can
How
do?
can I help?
Or just say, I'm gonna start doing this because don't say it because of something deficient. Like, I'm gonna start doing this because you're not gonna make it on time. You cannot do that. You hurt a person's spirit just by you said, now this is what you get and that's it. Sometimes that hurt a person because they want to see you smile. They want to see you happy to be there with them in the trenches and shooting over the hill with them. They want to see you do that because you're now that's a family soldier. Both of you are soldiers in the regiment, getting the responsibilities done, and that just that little bit of appreciation. That's that. I mean, that modicum, that small piece of appreciation, uh, goes a very long way, and it sets up success in your conversation, success in your outcomes. It just sets you up for good times. It sets you up for, he knows that you're thinking of his best. And you may start feeling good about it yourself. Because oftentimes, matter of fact, it's been scientifically proven, you heard me say this, when you do something for someone else, even if you're a part of that thing all the time and you do it and you don't get any help sometimes, but you get more gratitude out of the act of watching somebody enjoy what you've done than they
Yeah.
get out of you doing it. That's a proven fact. So you probably will feel better. You probably hate, oh, I gotta get up. What is he cooking? Oh, he's cooking that. That's so complicated. Oh my God. Oh, let me go back there and see what he's doing. And then
Oh,
you
he would be devastated if I ever told him that he didn't cook. I have to tell him everything is great. Anything he
I
cooks.
hope you don't watch these videos. No, I'm just kidding you. It's okay. But see,
If
that's
if
the
he
raw
did,
truth. He should be able to
yeah.
accept that raw truth. Listen. I
Because
have
when we first met, he was heavy on the salt. I thought I was going to have a stroke. And I, but I was,
I'm sorry, but that is such, and I'm black.
but
I know
bless
that's a
his heart,
black thing. Black
he's
people
good
love
now.
salt.
He's good. He's good now.
Yeah, it's very
And
bad for you. Very bad for you. It's too much salt. High sodium,
yeah,
very bad. But where I grew up, black people love salt on everything. Salt, some salt on it. Anything go wrong, put some salt on it. Yeah,
I'm talking about you couldn't even taste it. You couldn't taste what you was eating. It just tastes like salt. But he's lightened up. He does. He does. He pays attention now.
that's good.
And but a lot of times all he went off of was what he watched. So if he just, watched a
Mhm.
little bit of this or a little bit of that, but it's not like my little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Bigger finger, yeah, bigger finger than yours.
Yeah, bigger fingers.
Okay, well, men do men stuff. That's all I can say.
But
Men
he
stuff.
really is a good cook now. He is. He's come a long way. And
Okay.
did he ever tell you how we met?
You know what? I was saving that until you two were on together, but since you brought it up,
Okay,
we have
okay.
no, you brought up, we
No,
got 8 minutes
no,
left.
save it. I'm
No,
going to
no, no.
save it.
I'm gonna listen to your version now, then I'm gonna listen to his version when I ask him next session.
It's going to be the same though. So let's save it for when we're both on there.
You're both on.
It'll mean
That's what I was
so
saying.
much more.
I think it would be hilarious to see you two on together. So long as you can take the punches that he gives and he can take the punches that you give. That's the most beautiful part of a relationship, is if you can give a punch without
Yeah,
insulting or disrespecting or intentionally hurting the other person. Because
yeah,
sometimes, I have a significant other, and I say things to her, and I'm kind of, I'm clear. I'm one of these emphatically clear people. So there is no guessing about what I'm actually saying. I just say it.
yeah.
And they oftentimes misconstrue that for being um, mean or despondent,
Rude.
rude. Yeah, exactly. And I know that's why I'm sharing this with you. Sometimes they don't see that they become the antagonist with you because they become the one who starts a fight with you because they don't know how to get around that. They don't know how to get around it. So they expect you, when you're being emphatically clear, to be nice about it. But when you're being emphatically clear and you're nice, you kind of look bumbling and you kind of look like you're fooling around. So you can't do that. And that's what most people in society. So if they would only adopt, which I'm going to work with this on over time, the fact that you are who you are. This is how you speak. This is what they signed up for. And you're not trying to hurt them. You're not trying to be mean with them. You're just being clear. You're being exactly who you've always been. If it's consistent. You get it? So
Hmm.
that's something that we're going to talk more about in our future sessions, but it's a work you already know. You're in that intake specialist area. You understand that people come in and they think they have 50 issues and they really have like two. When you whittle it all down, they got like two issues, two major issues. They got a big chip on their shoulder because of X, and then somebody's hurting them because of Y. And that's it. And then everything else is just variations or degrees, or varying degrees of those two things, or three or four things, but it's normally not 50. But
He's very loyal, but to the wrong, his loyalty is going to kill him.
I know. Yeah, when he told me he was a soldier and I saw his loyalty for being a man, his loyalty for the people he's known, the influences, how he needs to respond. Yeah, we're breaking all that down because uh, loyalty is a two-way street. And some things you're loyal to, just not loyal to you. So it becomes futile. It becomes a waste of time to be loyal to things that doesn't serve you. And that's a
Yeah.
big problem with anyone. Um, and I think he knows it. He just haven't had, and he's been in prison most of his life. So he hasn't had opportunity to experience not being loyal or being a person that doesn't have to have allegiance to something that doesn't matter in his life. Certain things he has allegiance to don't matter, and they never will matter in his life. But in his head and his experience and how he's had to live with that his whole adult life, that kind of loyalty, that blind loyalty, and he doesn't really see now that it doesn't serve him because it's got him through to this day. Now we just have to introduce him to some different types of loyalty, loyalties that will be loyal back to you, like love and respect and honor and trust and fidelity and courtesy and kindness and strength and courage. All of these different type of loyalties to these types of disciplines or self-understanding or reflexive in nature mostly. When they figure that out and they figure out that they're part of a different kind of loyalty, then they can let go of that other kind of loyalty that often causes them big problems. Like one of the boys called up right now and said, man, I got something we can do illegal, that da 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 da. But since they went through something being soldiers, chances are, he'll say, yeah. But since he now has a more responsible understanding of self, more responsible understanding of family, more responsible understanding of life, then chances are he won't do that. And that's important too. So, I think what we need to do, and we need to keep on doing it, is just reinforcing it and talking more about it. We didn't get into too much this Sunday with you, Bobbi, because your reaction to your husband was more important to me today than anything else. That you are seeing progress and you are forgiving him some things. Not that he done anything wrong, but sometimes forgive means also to just let some things go and kind of observe.
Yeah.
And not that they've done anything wrong. So do yourself a favor, and this is important. Keep a journal on the progress you're seeing in your husband, and tell him to keep a journal on you. Let's see if that works. So, just write down a few notes about me every day. Something, what you think about me, what I'm doing.
Maybe we could do it at nighttime, like before we lay down.
A couple of sentences. It doesn't have to be 10 paragraphs or
Yeah.
5 pages. Just a few sentences every day. The day went well. Bobbi looked radiant. She was rushing this morning. She had a great day at work. I really enjoyed her coming in tonight. We talked about a few things. Boom, done. That kind of thing. That way you can look on day to day, page to page, and you can say, that's my Bobbi, or that's my Montes. And it can be like that. Once you can communicate something raw to the other person, they're less intimidated by it. And it's more receptive. It's more, they're more receptive, I should say. I got Spanish.
Yeah, because I like, there's just, like I said, the biggest thing is some things that he would just go on and on and on. And he's just, mom was the word. And I was like,
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So if he can take it, when like I said, he said, when he was talking one night, he said, yeah, he sliced and diced me. I couldn't say nothing.
I'm trying to find my closing remarks and I cannot find them at all. Oh yeah, here it is, the verbatim thing. Okay, yeah, we got 15 minutes left. It's good. Okay, because my thing is showing we're running out of time, but we're not actually running out of time.
But see, he comes from an era where I want my lick back. So,
Yeah,
and he's got it bad.
I know.
Like, I wouldn't care if it was somebody who put their brakes on the highway 4 weeks ago and he sees him again. He wants to get in front of him and put his brakes on. Like, he's got that, I want my lick back bad.
I know. That's his whole
And
life.
Yeah. And I am not a grudge holder. Like, I might get mad and I'll be okay 5 minutes later, but it takes me longer to process when it's emotionally disturbing to me. Like I get mad about something and then it ain't really nothing. But when we fight or argue and it's emotional, it takes me a couple of days to process through that.
Exactly. And that's very normal and healthy that you don't have a knee-jerk reaction to it. Yeah, we talked about that. If you watch his last session with him and I, we talked about his knee-jerk reaction and his ability to get his one lick in. Every time he has to have the last lick and he has to hit harder than you and he has to hurt you more than you hurt him. We talked about that and he explained it. Sometimes you have it too, but I don't think he conveyed it to me like you have it as bad as he does. But when you escalate things, it's normally a tit for tat. I'm gonna hurt you. Well, your mother said that you had 1 foot, and well, your daddy said that you grew up on a farm and you milked the
I
cows.
I just
You know,
I when I do it, and I'm like I said, I'm not perfect. When I do it, I just don't have to say much.
yeah, I know, but it's
You know,
not the
where he has
quantity,
to go
but
on
it's
and on. And but I don't care if I've only done it once. He never forgets that
I know,
and
and you instigate. That's called
puts it in his
instigation.
Rolodex.
Yeah, but when you instigate anything, especially, and I don't want to say this like anything else, you have more experience in psychologically calming a situation than he does by using your brain housing group. All of this, use your brain instead of your heart when you're discerning situations. You have much more experience doing that than he does. There's a thing called, and I told him the same thing, there's a thing called familiarity. Familiarity breeds contentment as well as contempt. When you're so familiar with someone, you're going to be okay to just tell them anything because you're content with them. You understand, you trust them. It's okay because you're familiar. But when you are so familiar and it breeds contempt, you will not offer him the same respect that you would offer somebody in your office because you're not as close to them in your office as you are with your husband. They may pour your coffee out, rinse out the cup, and then use your cup and drink out of it at work. And you're like, well,
Yeah.
I think maybe that's not a good idea. I don't like drinking after anybody. Thank you. I'll bring you a new cup if you like.
Mhm.
You probably say something like that because you don't want to just wring their neck, but you just drank out of my coffee cup. You don't want to, I don't like anybody eating on my things. I don't like you picking up and just tasting it and reaching in my plate. I've never liked,
Oh no.
I don't like any of that. But people do it to you. But at work, if somebody did it, you're more apt to say, I don't really like that. Please don't reach in my plate. Whatever you want, let me know. I'll help you with it. With great amount of respect and control. But when someone's familiar with you and you're familiar with them so well, if they reach in your place, get your damn hand out of my plate. What's wrong with you? Different reaction. It's not fair to him, but it's also wrong of him to reach in your plate if that happens. I'm not saying this occurs. I'm just using
Yeah.
that as a
It
hypothetical.
doesn't.
Right.
There's basic, I did a lot of years in prison too, just on an installment plan of what he did.
Yes.
And so, but I've had those moments of clarity where I wasn't inside of the institution. And while I was in there, I was also doing programming and
Right.
seeking out information. So then when I got out for whatever brief period of time it was,
Mm-hmm.
that I would put that information to use.
Absolutely.
And then, so that matters, like, that social interaction,
That
and even in a woman's prison is nothing like a man's. Nothing.
etiquette is called that prison
Yeah.
etiquette or that life etiquette or that table manner etiquette. All of those different etiquettes have their place. He, and I'm very proud of because you're both ex, former, prisoners and convicts or convicted. I guess they call them convicts. You're ex-convict. And
That doesn't even sound right.
it doesn't sound right, does it? But you're
No.
former members of the penal system, and but you're having to operate using those kind of protections and etiquettes and understandings and psychological behaviors that are associated with that life and how you overcome that. That's why these sessions are important. You're already on a path of helping other people because you know how to live. You know what their problems are. You've experienced a lot of their problems. So you know how to deal with them and what they need to hear and how they need to feel and how you can make them feel without exhausting yourself. Like you learn that through experiential knowledge. And it's a no better person in the world than you to be able to say, I've been where you are. And even if I haven't been there, I've been the worst places. Most people can't say that. Most people can't even endeavor to think it. Most people lie about, well, there I was, and the plane dropped us off in a place, and we didn't know where we were. You know how many these fake Green Berets in the world, have said that to me. I could be sitting here and say, yeah, I was in special operations and special this, that, and the other, and I did this and I'm sitting there listening, ex-special forces, former special forces, I'm sitting there listening, and people say, well, why didn't you just put him in his place? You know, that they call it now, it's crime now, it's called stolen valor now. And it's a waste of my time. If they really believe the malarkey that's coming out of their mouth, or if they're saying it to get an effect out of me or to have me feel a certain way about them, why waste my time giving them what they want? Because no matter what my response is, if I challenge them, I'm in an argument. If I don't challenge them, I'm feeling bad. So I just disregard them. They're unimportant to me. That's what I want you and Montes to do, because you both have those similar backgrounds in prison. And that etiquette is different from men and women, as you just claimed and made clear. And if that's true, you need to both give and take just a little less or a little more. You need to both forgive up front, because that kind of etiquette in prison is not the same on the outside. Just isn't.
No, it isn't. Nor is the cooking. No.
You're gonna make me, I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night laughing about that one, I promise you. A bit too much salt. But
Yeah.
but I understand.
And then how do you tell somebody you just meet, right? That their cooking isn't good? You can't do that. Like,
But here's the thing. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can.
I couldn't then.
I know.
This time 4 years ago, I couldn't have.
I know. But you need to start doing it. You need to start saying, and not in a degrading way, because most people say, well, I don't like it because. Instead of that, say, I would like it more if you added this or a little less of that. I think I would like it much more. Give it all. Your answer should always be oriented towards something moving forward and positive. And it's saying the exact same thing as I didn't like it because it had too much salt. I would like it even much better. Oh my God, that was a real meal, but I would love to have you put less salt in it. Oh my God, because I can't take salt, but everything else was just right on the money. See, that pushes a person to think that
now he'll ask me. He'll ask me every time, how was the salt?
Courtesy. See how that courtesy works? It does, because you've made it clear. But sometimes I think it's important to start a relationship with anybody being brutally raw. Just be raw and clear. I think, and smile about it. Not with, I wouldn't laugh and be serious at the same time, because it makes you look weak, or oftentimes people have this nervous laughter.
You got to have a happy medium.
Exactly, somewhere in the middle. But definitely have a smile and say, it was a meal, but it would be much better if you added some meat this time and some potatoes. And I would love it if that salt didn't play such a prominent role in it.
That's like seeing somebody with an ugly kid and say, well, they have beautiful clothes on. Their shoes are so nice.
Oh, you are on a roll tonight, Bobbi. And it is. But everybody thinks their child is beautiful. So you have to always look at it from their perspective.
Yeah.
When I told you my child was born prematurely. One of these days I'll bring the photos to the session so you can see. When she was born, her cranial plates had not set in place. Her head was lopsided, her face was twisted. I thought I gave birth to a monster. I was like, what the heck? Well, my ex-wife gave birth to him, not me. I don't want to put that out there anyway. But do you understand? But what happened? You said?
My twins were pushed in one was down in my pelvis and one was up in my rib cage. So their face was meshed in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was scared. And they look like little ugly men.
Baby, do you ever hear about an airplane crash where everybody dies except for the babies? Because they're so spongy. They can take the impact not of a plane or something like that. But oftentimes in a lot of plane wrecks, the babies and the little kids, because they're so malleable. They are. But we treat them so delicately, but they are malleable and they're very durable. Babies are. And my child, she sat in the incubator for like 60 days or something. It was a long time she was in the incubator. I was actually in Argentina when she was born, down in Buenos Aires. And I had to fly back from Buenos Aires up to where she was born, and prematurely, and she was like 6 months birth, and she looked like I cried. I fell When they sent me the photos, I fell on the floor in the middle of the lobby in the hotel down there in Buenos Aires. And I just cried because I thought she was going to die because she looked so deformed. If you see my daughter now, she's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in the entire world. God, she's gorgeous. My daughter is beautiful. So that really doesn't have, it puts my mind in, oh my God, I'm gonna have a daughter that's gonna look like a monster, and I gotta work with this the rest of her life. And I didn't know. That was my first child. I had no idea that babies were so malleable and they just like a cartoon, they just bounce back. I bet your sons now are much more handsome than they were when they were born. The whole pelvic
Oh
deal.
yeah.
Of course, because they bounce back. Same with a relationship. I'm trying to make that analogy. People, they conform to whatever environment they're in. Montes had a whole nother different kind of prison life than you did.
A whole different kind.
Yeah.
And he was abused inside the prison.
We're going to talk about that. I'm getting up to that. And that's normal in a prison for a young person to go in there to be abused in some way or another. And then to repetitively go back. You become a part of that system, not to be abused, but sometimes you become the abuser. We're going to talk more about that in the future. But yeah, I mean, you made some very valid points. You really did, Bobbi. So before we leave, I want you to tell our audience, how are you feeling about norm therapy and what we're doing? And this was just a good conversation today. We honed in on a few things, but I want you to know that our therapy is all about having good conversations, but not only just having them, but doing something about them. I think that's.
Yeah, because it's like a check-in, like to measure how far you've come. And this time, even 12 weeks ago, I would have never thought that I would be sitting here saying my husband's in therapy, or my husband's changed his
Method of operation.
response, or his response time is now, 5 seconds and not 1 second. Or so, I mean, for me, it's almost like I tricked him into therapy,
Well, I don't think you tricked him. I really don't.
No, I don't think. I think he wanted to help, but I just don't think that he knew. He didn't trust anyone. He didn't trust nobody white. And if you hadn't been through anything, he wasn't going to trust you. If so, you were like a godsend to our relationship, because it was to the point where I was ready to fly the coop.
But there's a style of what you're receiving with me, and I just want to share it with you. I don't believe in check this off the list, check that off the list, let's do this, let's do that. I don't just believe in that, because people sometimes have a very finite or complete small understanding of things, and they don't look at the unknown as a possibility. There's more wisdom in what you don't know than in what you do know. Once you know something, Bobbi, this is what you do. You put on your blinders and you go for it, and you get it done, and you're focused. But sometimes it's better not to know where to go, because then you need to move in this direction, but everything is now a possibility. There's more wisdom there in what you learn than what you actually think you know, unless you've already done it before and you know the right path to take. That's not to say that you need to be unknowing about what you do, but you need to give the chance of other possibilities being a part. And that's what you and you and Montes are doing, Bobbi. You guys are
shifting perspectives on things.
There you go. You just said that, I was a godsend because of, whatever. And all I'm trying to do is tell you that let's exhaust every measure. I mean, every measure we can before we give up or before we change. Let's look for every good reason to be together before we break up. Let's try everything. And then once we try it,
and that's it. Let's look for reasons to stay together than to be apart.
Absolutely.
Where we was looking for everything that was pushing us apart versus pushing us together.
Well, you guys are really, you're both tough cases. Trust me. Sometimes talking to you
Oh, and
about
I got a long way to go, and so does he. So don't
Mhm.
get that twisted,
Yeah,
because
but tough is sometimes good.
it's not
Some is tough is
easy
sometimes good.
breezy.
It's tough is
You
sometimes
know,
you guys get to do something most people are afraid to do. You get to just make, excuse the expression, just get to make damn decisions. Most people are like, oh my God, I don't know. What should I do? Once you guys see something is right, you go,
we
okay,
haven't had that problem in a while either. Remember that?
we're
Yep.
working on it. Montes and I are working on it. No, real man isn't just my way or the highway. A real man compromises everything in life but his integrity. A real man compromises everything in life to make others around him be more uh, happy, more understood, more cared for, more responsible. The only thing a man should never compromise is his integrity. Everything else is negotiable. He's never known
Well,
that.
even the way that he talks with the boys is different. Like I heard him out there laughing and giggling like a bunch of kids just a little bit ago.
Healthy. Healthy is happier, but it's also it makes him feel like it's a bad thing to be excluded. But normally the tough guy is always the one excluded and he's always alone. That's the tough guy. The tough guy rule. And that's a bad place to be for any human being, to be in a place where you're ostracized and people don't have anything to do with you because you're too tough. That's a bad place to be.
And that's what he's done. And he's got a lot of bridges to try to repair,
And he's
especially with my older ones.
got to start somewhere. Start,
Yeah.
laughter and joy will bring
Yeah.
perspective to any situation if it's genuine. If you're genuinely laughing and having a conversation about such and such, and look at the bald headed guy running down the street trying to look like you, want this, and then ha 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 ha, and then all of a sudden there's a connection, and it's a joyous connection, and it's based on both of all of them coming to the same meeting of the minds, even if it's in a joke. Any circumstance you can put them in where they all agree on the same, you know, they like French toast. You like it with butter. I like it with syrup. You like it with jelly. But we all like French toast. The more people become a part of something, the better off they are.
Yeah.
And you guys have definitely developed something. You've just been all over the place with it until now. Now you're in a place where that something has credibility. It's called a family. It's called living, enjoying, and understanding, and surviving, and prospering and developing. You're doing all of that.
And we just sent the paperwork off to start fighting for I told you my youngest two children I lost custody of, but I didn't lose my parental rights.
Got it.
And so she moved them out of Ohio, which is out of jurisdiction. Court still has jurisdiction. She moved them to California. And so we're putting the paperwork in now. She's going to be in contempt of court because you can't bring my kids to see me. And I can't get to California. There's going to have to be some kind of mutual understanding. And she just up and left.
Trust me, I understand. If I ever went through my conversation online, you would be like, "What?" But I'll share it with you one of these days. It's really tragic. But tell you what, let's do this. Let me go ahead and close this out. Bobbi, are you okay?
Yeah.
Good. All right. I should ask you that first, but I'm glad to ask you now. If you've enjoyed and got something out of today's session, please show us some love by sharing this video, subscribing to our channel, and liking it. Please make comments. I'm sorry about the disconnection with the live stream today, but we'll get it right the next time. Our next norm therapy session will be on Tuesday, January 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with myself and Montes. Please go to goarrow.org, goaro.org, and to normtherapy.com and explore opportunities and seek help for yourself or somebody in need of our services. And this is through our sessions and your purchasing sessions with our norm therapists. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday. Bobbi, I love talking to you. You
Good
remind me
talk.
so much of the wonderful people that are out there in the world doing good. This is that group of people. You're part of something much bigger than you, and that makes you shine. We'll get Montes there. We will get him there, I promise you. He's an amazing guy. He just needs to know how to do things a different way, other than the etiquette and the and conforming to that of the
He'll
world.
make it.
There we go. There you go. Listen, I'll talk to you next week. I look forward to
Okay.
have a great week, and
You
just
too.
keep your spirit up. I look forward to talking to you.
How can I help?
Enjoy. There you go. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye bye.